Okay. Join over 80 million players in this fast-paced, third-person action shooter. Loot up, load out, and carve your own path through the sprawling and ever-evolving Origin system, which is a system not quite like ours, but almost. With a vast array of fully customizable warframes, the power is yours to create the perfect assassin, tank, support, or stealth warframes, and you can collect hundreds of unique weapons with limitless modification possibilities. So check the link in the description if you want to check out Warframe today. And yeah, that's just a quick rundown. We're just literally going to jump right in.
For generations you've slept. No purpose. No call to wake you. Grenier. Seeds from the ruins of the old war, swallowing colonies whole. But there's still hope. The Tenno. Monuments of an ancient warrior caste. Scattered across frail worlds. end to an empire. Then they left. Forgotten. Like a dream. Wake up, Tenno. Wake up.
Alright. Welcome to Warframe. And the first decision you're actually going to have to make is at the very start here. Kind of like Pokemon, you're going to have to choose between 3 of your starter Warframes that you're going to use. I'm not going to be the person to be like, you know, which one's the best one to choose, okay? I'm not going to be like that. You choose who you think you want to choose, okay? I will say one thing, though, and I will go through all of these each afterwards. But Excalibur is good for, like, new people, if you're actually new to the game, because he just has an all-around good kit to use. Volt is more for, like, advanced players if you're coming back to the game, because he's fast. And then Mag is just kind of here if you like her abilities. I'm probably going to be choosing Mag because I never chose Mag before, but I'll go through everyone here real quick. So Excalibur emphasizes the warrior spirit. His master swordsmanship deals high damage. He is the embodiment of martial excellence. He has a slash dash, which will lunge you forward and you can cut enemies in half, basically. He has a radial blind, which will obviously blind nearby enemies, so you can go in for like a sneak attack almost, or like a one-hit kill kind of thing. He has the radial javelin, which will launch out like spears in a radius in front of him, or all around him, I'm not really sure. And then he has the exalted blade, which basically summons an energy sword that does everything a sword does, basically. You have Mag, take down your enemies with magnetic force. Mag alters magnetic fields to provide crowd control and strip enemy defenses. Few can resist her attraction and her repulsion. She has a pull ability, which will pull enemies to you, as well as items, and it does damage. She has the magnetize ability, which will basically create this like force field type of like orb around an enemy, and you basically shoot bullets into that and it will go straight to the enemy, just kind of keep damaging them over time. So it's good if you want to like stun someone like a high value target and just do damage to them constantly. She has Polarize, which basically summons another sort of like force field type of orb around you, and this will disrupt armor and shields. Or not disrupt them, but like take off shields and armor basically, so you can do more damage. And then she has the Crush ability, which basically allows you to do something Star Wars never could, where you can just absolutely crush every single bone in all your enemies' bodies, basically killing them instantly. And then, of course, you have the last choice of Volt. Electricity flows through. Volt is attacks deal high damage, enemies will be shocked. So, yeah, you have your Shock ability, which is just it shocks enemies and does high damage. And it'll also have like a chain effect if there's multiple enemies in an area, because it is using lightning. You have a speed boost ability, which allows you to move faster, reload faster, and your melee also attacks faster as well, I believe. And this does affect teammates as well, so if you're playing with a squad, kind of good to always have a Volt around. You have your electric shield, one of the only characters with the actual shield, and he will basically block damage, and you can carry it like a riot shield as well. So you can place it down or carry the shield, and it'll block damage. And you can place 4 of them at a time, 3 to 4. It might be 3, I'm not. And then you have your discharge ability, which will basically cause a big discharge of lightning in a circle around you, and it'll also have that chain effect that your shock ability does. So it'll just, it'll change to targets that are close enough to each other as well. So again, pick who you want to pick. They also all have passive abilities as well. I'll go through those right now. So Excalibur's passive deals 10% increased damage and attacks 10% faster when wielding swords. I believe this is just single-held swords, so that does not work for dual wielding. Mag, nearby items gravitate towards you for each collection, so just kind of like quality of life right there, essentially. And then you have Volt, so he basically charges up static as you're moving around. The faster you move, the faster it charges up, basically. And it's only when your feet are touching the ground, so like, gliding through the air and stuff does not charge that up. But it'll basically charge up to 1,000 static damage. And then you can apply that with your next ability or your next melee strike or bullet, I think. Just literally anything. It'll just do extra damage, basically, so... I think I'm going to choose Mag, and they also have their own colors as well. It doesn't seem like it's... Oh, you actually can... Oh, that's just default. I was going to say, I thought that was a randomizer. I was just trying to see if these colors are randomly generated, and they don't appear for your Warframes as well, which I think is cool. This one looks pretty cool, honestly. I won't go through all the colors, I don't think I have to do that, but just kind of choose some that, sort of fit your style and whatnot. This one looks pretty cool. I kind of like this one more, though. I mean, the red and blue doesn't mix well together, honestly, but that one also looks good. I'll go with this one. And again, I'm going to be choosing Mag because I've never actually chose Mag before, so... Again, choose who you want to choose. I'm not going to tell you which one you should choose. So, pick the one that suits you best, or the one that looks the coolest to you, essentially.
I see the Lotus has tried to wake you. Pity she's too late. You're my prize now, Deno. No. We are taking this one with us.
What has he done to you? I can't lose another Tenno. I'm surging your Warframe's power systems. Quick, use your power.
Alright, so right away it's going
Defend
to teach you how to jump and also use your abilities. If you hold down the R button, you can bring up your four abilities. You won't have all four of them right away, you just have your first one. So you can't just tap it as well instead of holding it. But real quick, what I want you to do is just take out these first enemies here real quick. With your abilities. Alright, after you do that, because I don't want you being shot at.
An extraction ship is waiting for you, but the Grineer will be hunting you.
That's okay.
Arm yourself.
I will. So real quick, as you should do for anything you're playing, just ever, is just go through your settings real quick. You could check out all the controls. This sort of area will teach you all the basics anyways. But just sort of go through your controls and all your settings. For your sensitivity, just make sure you can turn around kind of decently, and make sure you can just look up decently, because there will be times where you need to turn around fast and shoot someone behind you, and rolling is not just gonna like turn you around. So just make sure your sensitivity is just sort of set to a range that you're comfortable with for looking around and aiming. Just kind of up and down and around you. This is decent enough for now. If you're on PC, it's going to take you a little longer to figure that out. I wouldn't worry about scoping right now until you have a weapon to use. Vibration, personal preference, I like to turn it off because it's annoying for me personally. You can auto swap when your weapon's empty and stuff. I like to turn that off personally. You can reload with the context action input, which I believe is X on controller. You mess around with that if you want to. Melee with the fire input. I do recommend turning this on so you don't have to use the dedicated melee button. You can just use your right trigger or whatever it is on PC. Camera tracking melee targets, you want that on as well. Just so you don't have to keep looking around constantly. It's not perfect, but you're going to want it in the future. Crouch button is toggle. Make sure that is turned off. Double jump executes void sling. You don't have to worry about that. Dead zones, mess with these if you want to. There's technically a PvP mode, but no one really plays it anyway, so don't worry about that too much. And these don't worry about these right now either. Just kind of replicate what you have already, basically, for these. Just kind of set those up the way you already have it, and you can adjust those in the future when we get there. And you don't really need to worry about that as well. Keyboard controls, necessary. You can turn off gore if you don't like body parts and blood and whatnot. You can enable the legacy color palette. I don't recommend turning that on. Basically, something happened in the past. One of the developers was messing around with colors to see if it would look better, and it did look better. But he accidentally got rid of the way it was by accident, like literally an accident. So people were kind of mad. Some people like the way it used to look, so I don't recommend turning that on, but you can sort of mess around with that. Network settings, mess around with that as well if you plan to play with your friends or whoever. Content mode, I'm going to turn that on because I'm a content creator. You can ignore players. Enable surveys, I recommend just doing that, just for feedback. You can turn on chat visibility. Reach in chat's turned on by default because people will say some of the darndest things sometimes. But yeah, you can talk with other people in the game if you turn those on. I recommend turning on timestamps so you can see when those messages were actually sent. You can turn off private messaging if you want to. Active tab notifications only, you're probably going to want that on. Profanity filter, you should probably turn that on. If you're... No, I don't want to say if you're a kid, because you should be playing this if you're a kid, but... Personal preference, if you don't like profanity, turn it on. If you don't really care, turn it off. I don't control what other people say, so I just tend to turn this off anyway. So I can say words like shit or damn. Chat notification volume, you know, turn that down a little bit so it's not busting at your eardrums. That's also why we turn on this one as well. And there's a mute notification button as well if you're just absolutely annoyed with getting notifications. And there is gifts that you can turn on. If you don't want them, turn those off. If you don't want like spoilers or like overpowered stuff, you don't want people just giving you like the best of the best stuff, you can turn that off. I like to leave it on if you guys want to, like, you know, show support for what I'm doing. We'll get to that after. Show channel guide, leave that on. I don't even know what this does, so don't mess with that. Probably don't mess with that either. You can change your cursor sensitivity. Kind of just keep it where it is if you like. It doesn't really work here, but it'll sort of slide the things. So what you can do is like turn this up higher. That way you're not just flying past all these different options and whatnot. You can adjust your HUD as well. I would have told you to do that at the start, but just in case it didn't, you can do that. Your HUD scaling, you can turn this up or down, depending on if you have a hard time seeing things or not. I like to turn it down to about like 75 to 80, just so there's a little more room for me to see things. Damage numbers. You can do kind of whatever you want with this. I like to just keep it the way it is, but I like the compact, so it's not just bursting over my screen all the time. You can change the scale. I like to turn this down to as low as possible, just enough to see it. And you can also change the opacity if you want to, and you could change the boldness and show damage numbers for non-player allies. So NPCs, basically. That's not too important. Did we go through everything here? No, not yet. HUD scale, damage. Affinity number, this is like your XP gain. So if you want to see how much like XP you're getting for doing things, turn that on. Show player list. You probably want that on. Show teammate glyphs instead of icons. I kind of like to turn that on, honestly. Icons basically show the Warframe they're using, I believe. And then the glyph will show like their profile picture, essentially. Show teammate names, personal preference if you want that on or not. You can show ability dots on your reticle. So when I was talking about how you can hold down the right bumper to bring up like your ability list, and then you press X on your selected ability, it'll basically just show like the highlighted dot in the middle of your screen, so you know which ability you're at. Obviously, you know, the first one's your first one, second, so on and so forth. You can show enemy names, personal preference again, you know, do whatever you want to do with that. Show health over enemies. I genuinely recommend just keeping that on, just so you know if they're going to die or not, because near end game, enemies get very tanky, right? Like, it takes a long time to kill an enemy sometimes. If you don't have their health on, you might just think they're not even dying. You can lock your minimap if you like to do that in games. You can mark your pet. I recommend just having that on, just in case. And you can prefer the overlay map, which is like a bigger map. I just wouldn't recommend turning that on unless you want a big map in the middle of your screen. And then landscape map fade, you can mess around with that if you want to. You can just kind of keep it how it is. Brightness and contrast. Again, personal preference. I like to go with a more cinematic style, which is about 55-60, I think, or like 50-60. That might be too dark. Usually like around here is what you want for like the cinematic visuals. Makes cutscenes look really good. You can do 65 if you want to. It used to be 50-70, I believe, but this is kind of just where I leave it. Field of view, personal preference. I like to crank my stuff up so I can see things. But, you know, if you get like Will. GPU particles, mess around with this as you see fit. The only thing I need to say about this, especially if you're on PC, is if you're in a squad of 4 that are casting abilities non-stop all around you all the time, and you have this set to ludicrous, you're gonna be struggling a bit on performance, especially for like a lower end system. So if you're playing solo, not much of an issue, to be honest, unless you're just spamming. So this is really personal preference at the end of the day, but you know, it depends on if you're playing solo or not. So I usually keep this around medium to high. If you're on PC, you can turn it up to ludicrous, obviously. For the sake of the video, I'm going to keep it on high. Ambient occlusion. This basically blurs areas you're not really like focusing on. If you don't like blurring effects, turn that off. If you don't really care, keep it on. Fog quality. This doesn't matter too much, you know. Keep it at what it's at, usually. It tends to pick the good settings. Motion blur, personal preference. I like to keep it off. Depth of field. Again, this will blur things when you're zooming in, so it'll blur things like around you. Personal preference. I like to turn that off. Distortions. So, like, if you're on fire, your screen will have like a fire effect, stuff like that. Again, personal preference. Glare. It's glare, not much to say. Film grain. Turn that off. Again, personal preference. Bloom and bloom intensity, I don't recommend messing around with that too much, because you blind yourself. Weapon elemental effects, you can turn that off if you want to. Color correction, you can also turn off. There's a few planets that kind of just look a little gassy, which they're supposed to look like that. So if you want what like the vision they're going for planets, keep this on. If you want everything to just kind of look the same with no like atmosphere changes, then turn that off. Character shadows, personal preference. Sun shadows, personal preference. Enhanced decals, personal preference. And dynamic resolution, I think this really only matters on PC. But basically you can change your resolution to a little better. I like to just keep it on auto because they get the job done. And then, of course, your volume settings. They do have an advanced option here, so you can mess around with all of those. I do recommend turning artist down a little bit, turn you down a little bit, companion, just turn them all down to like 80. Enemy dialogue, keep that like 90. Narrative dialogue, keep that on. And then that's good. Sound effects. Personal weapons, we can turn that down to about there. Abilities, turn that to about there. Vehicle volume, turn that to about there. Enemy and ally combat, like there. And ambient volume, keep that up. And music volume. Metachord on. Okay, these won't even matter to you, to be honest, at first. Just turn that down slightly, because I'm making content, and we'll see if this is too loud or not. Mission tutorial transmissions, I recommend keep that on if you're new. Or just transmission. You can turn that off if you want to, but I don't recommend it if you want a little buddy hanging around. Hit marker sound effects, personal preference. Reverb, personal preference. There's voice chat if you want to enable voice chat. I don't use voice chat too much. Hold the sprint. Personal preference. You should probably keep it on. So you just move fast. Fire manual trigger weapon continuously. So basically meaning if you have a weapon that shoots one bullet at a time, if you just hold down your trigger, it will just keep shooting as if it was an automatic weapon. I don't like to turn that on, but for convenience sake, you can turn that on if you want to. Hold to aim weapon, obviously have that on. Repeated button presses. If you don't like quick time events, you can just have this set to hold. There's not that many to really worry with anyways. Melee auto retarding, we went through that. We went through that. Keep that on. This doesn't matter to me. Aim assist, you probably want that on. Again, this is not really PvP. And they do have colorblind options. You can mess around with that. If you have difficulty seeing certain things, I will not. Screen shake, you probably want to turn that off for most people just to avoid like motion sickness. Because basically meaning like your HUD will like shake all over the place. That includes like your health and your map and everything are just kind of moving around constantly. It adds to the atmosphere of it. I'll see what happens in the future. Cloaked appearance. This is for like your invisibility. There's no way for me to show you this right now. So I can't. But basically, there's like the semi-cloak, which makes you like partly invisible. And then there's the glowing cloak, which just puts like basically just a little glow around you, but you're not actually invisible. And then standard actually makes you invisible. So choose what you want. Some people like to have it like half, like kind of like foggy. Do what you want. Character highlighting. You can mess with these if you want to. This is if you have a hard time seeing enemies and stuff, it'll put a highlight on them. So if you're, a little bit older, you might want to turn that on. And then we have your HUD colors. You can mess with this. I don't recommend messing with it too much until you like really know your stuff. Because if you start messing with all these colors, you're gonna get really confused. But you can mess around with it. The default colors are fine. I like to set up like my health and shield as different colors, just so like it's kind of like Pokemon colors, yellow, green, and red type of thing. So when I see just red, that's how I know like I'm about to die. But for the sake of this video, I'm not going to do that. Subtitles, personal preference. I make content, so I'll keep that on. Enable HUD motion. Okay, that's not the same thing as camera shake. Oh, gotcha. Okay, turn that off if you don't like your HUD moving around. Again, personal preference. So yeah, screen shaking is different. That's your screen actually just shaking. which does cause motion sickness for some people. You can prefer default HUD. You don't even know what that is yet. Sniper scopes, keep that on. You can actually change your cursor color as well. So if you don't like just default white, you can change that to whatever. I like to go for blue because that is the color of my channel. You can change the size of your cursor as well. There is going to be an option to actually change our cursor, but we'll get to that after. Text size, you can make that big or small, or large. Or sorry, large, medium, small. I like to make mine small, so it's not all over my screen. You can show emojis as text if you don't want to have physical emojis, which basically shows it like right here. And you can turn this on too. It'll basically convert it to an emoji if you're using the default ones. And then you can actually change the color of your emojis as well that you're using or other people are using. I usually just go for yellow just because everyone's used to seeing yellow, but you can choose whichever colors you prefer. But again, I like to go for the classic yellow. And then you are going to have this option here to get a free sandana, which is like a cosmetic for your back, kind of like a cape, just by entering your email address and then verifying it. You're going to have to verify your email address rather, and then you can opt in for getting game updates as well as advertising, essentially, and then cross it. But you're not too worried about that. And then before you exit out of this, before actually finishing anything, press Y to actually confirm all your stuff. And now everything should be the way you want it to be. I know it looks a little weird now, but alright, you get to choose your first weapon, either a sword or a bow staff. I won't tell you which one's better, because, like, you know, you choose what you want to do at the end of the day. You know, it's personal preference on which one you want. But they do have different attributes for different enemies and stuff. So, again, just kind of choose whichever. I'm gonna go. So, again, choose what you want. You can also test it out as well, and then you can swap them. Because they do have different combos and stuff, you know? You can choose which you prefer. I'm gonna go with the sword, because I like swords. Swords are cool. I don't know what that just said, to be honest. And you're gonna see these little canisters, containers, around the maps that you play. If you hit them, you'll get some loot out of them, as well as like health orbs, energy orbs, and ammo sometimes. So, if you see those, just make sure to hit them. They will light up a little bit. And you will also come across some resource formations. So there's like 4 per map you can find that are map specific, or rather world specific. So that's how you're going to farm up some resources when you need them.
There's a cache of weapons ahead. Grab
You can
what
also perform stealth attacks, which do higher damage. And also do unarmed people, obviously. And I think you also get bonus XP as well for stealth attacks. Doesn't show that anyway, though. Alright, you get to choose your second weapon, either a semi-firing pistol or throwing knives. I do recommend having at least like one sort of like quiet-ish weapon in your back line, because you will have there's 3 weapons you get to choose from basically, but I just recommend one of your weapons are somewhat quiet. So either the knives or whatever you'll get later on. So I already know what I want later on, so I'm going to choose the pistol. But again, personal preference on what you want. You can just have all guns if you want to, or you can have all stealth if you want to as well. You get to choose the way you want to go about it. Most people just go for the guns, but again, I recommend having at least one silent weapon. just so you can sneak around. Oh, and you can just melee. You don't have to swap your melee whenever you're using it. Thought I would mention that if people don't know that. Alright, here's something you're gonna really need to know, okay? When you hold down your crouch button and you tap jumping, you can do this thing called a bullet jump. If you aim down when you're in bullet jump, you can do this slow fall. This is very, very important, okay? I recommend you just kind of move around this one little section a few times and just get that muscle memory down, because you're gonna need to know this, okay? And you can do it while moving, sliding. Just, you're going to want to know this, okay? So again, that's your holding your crouch and then just simply jump. You're going to need to know how to do that until the end of time. So just master that skill if you can't master anything else. It's a very good skill to have. Big ugly man. Big ugly freak. Not much to say about this. This is your first boss fight. You see if you're competent, basically.
This one is stronger than the rest.
So just do some damage, take out the grunts and
This
stuff.
tenno is mine.
You know? Just sort of get into the flow of it.
Quick, get to the console and release the lockdown. Do that, and
And
I
as
will
always,
guide
just
you
make
to
sure
your
you're
old ship.
looking around for
It's
any
your only chance.
available crates and stuff to loot out of. You also get credits as well from crates, which you will need a lot of credits, which is currency. Alright, this is where you get to choose your third and the final weapon. You can choose either the automatic rifle, or you can choose a literal bow and arrow. I like to go for the bow and arrow because it's cool, but again, you can use these, test them out, sort of get a feel for them. I like the bow and arrow though as my stealth option at the beginning here. Again, personal preference. Choose which one you think you're better with. But again, I like to choose the bow. If you see red boxes, or red barrels, shoot them. They blow up. I feel like everyone that's ever played a video game ever just kind of knows that, to be honest. But if you don't know that, you know that. 90% of games will, if you shoot a red barrel, it explodes, basically, so. Just kind of common knowledge with the gaming community. Oops. Totally messed that up. It did not look cool at all. Oh, and the good thing with the bow too is it has piercing on it, so you can basically shoot through walls. I don't know if it does that by default. It may not do it by default. Doesn't look like it does. But in the future, it can do that, so you get it more powerful. Wow, that is slow. And the last thing you have to do in this little Victoria area is defend your ship.
Touching me, you. What? Are my
So this
senses
will
deceiving me?
test your
Operator,
aiming
is that
capabilities.
you?
And
Enemy reinforcements are here.
if you
Ships
die
along,
here,
we
then
require immediate extraction.
I don't know what to tell you.
The
This might
operator's
not
in
be
danger? I
the
will need a few
experience
moments to
for
cycle
you
the
if you can't
engines.
make it through.
Operator, you have returned. I am Ordis, ship Cephalon, a shadow of my former self. I cannot serve the operator in such a condition. Order me to self-destruct. I will understand.
Alright. Once you're done the tutorial mission, something you can actually do if you go into your options here is you can go to... which one is it? This one, and you can customize your UI. You do have to pay for some of these. This currency here, this little round-looking one, that's premium currency. You'd spend real money on that. Or trade. Don't worry about that right now. But you can choose sort of like your backgrounds and colors and whatnot. It'll change all your icons and stuff like that. I kind of just, recommend choosing something that sort of is easier to see. I personally prefer high contrast myself, and for doing content. Legacy is also fine, but Equinox and Vitruven? I don't even know how to pronounce that. These ones are kind of dark, so I do recommend just choosing high contrast or Legacy. And this is available during the months of October because the Warframe developers are very big on trying to stop cancer, or not stop cancer, I guess, but put money towards cancer research. So every October, it is Cancer Awareness Month. So feel free to pick that up as well. During the month of October, it should come around every year, basically. I'm going to stick with high contrast. You can change your background as well. Again, you can pick this up during the month of October for basically free, and you'll get some nice little flowers, because breast cancer and whatnot. And you can do Equinox, which is just nothing. And you can also choose Legacy, which is just a brighter version of nothing, basically. Or you can go with this one that adds this sort of pod-looking shape. I'm going to stick with this because cancer is a big problem. And you can change your sounds as well, depending on what you prefer. I recommend just keeping it as default because you might drive yourself crazy with the other one. And then item labels, keep that on. And yeah, once everything looks the way you want it to and you can read things pretty clearly, I don't actually think high contrast is going to do it for me. That's too dark. I'm going to keep it on high contrast. It should be easy enough to see things. And yeah, I just wanted to mention that real quick, just in case you have a hard time seeing things. You can change that now. And we also have some mail, which is in communication inbox. If you have some letters here.
Come to the relay. Come and browse my wondrous wares, shining like the stars that beckoned us ever onward, drifting away. Come to the relay before it's too late.
Why is he so aggressive?
Ketir.
Dude, why is he so aggressive? What happened? What happened to you? So yeah, this is a trader guy that comes around every 2 weeks to a random planet. So you can check it out and see where he is. It doesn't actually say where he is. It doesn't say where he is. Okay, he doesn't care. Message from Mortis. During updates, sometimes they change some stuff, so they give you free stuff. Things happen. And then you can also get some 12-year celebration stuff as well, which is happening now, I guess, for everyone, which I didn't know. The Earth has circled Sol 12 times since I first called you to wake, and the Origin system needs you now more than ever. And damn, can't say that right now. I give you this Dex, Aurora's Ephemera, Aware of the Pride. To ready you for what lies ahead, I am scanning the system for Tenno gear stolen by our enemies. Respond to alerts to recover these items. I thought, is that still happening? We'll get into that after. This is from 3.7, so definitely over now. It's usually around June. So summertime is usually when their birthday comes around. But I guess you can still get this year's basic stuff. So if you got that glyph, you can go to Profile, Glyph, and sort by Owned, and you can change basically your profile icon, essentially, to whichever. Again, these cost money, so don't stress about it, but kind of just choose whoever you want. I'm going to choose 12-year celebration. Is there anything else I need to talk about before we continue? No, that is literally it at the moment. Alright.
You honor Ordis. Now I can supply the operator with better modded firepower. Oh, the violation. Those have been looted as well.
We need to figure out what Captain Vor has done to you and stop him, but we'll need help. I've found a communication segment we might salvage for your ship when you are ready.
Oh, we just have to look at that on console, I guess. Anyway, this is going to be your arsenal that you just installed. This is where you can color and customize your warframes and your weapons, as well as your hacking device. And then you can also have companions and emotes and stuff like that. We won't worry about that right now. To be honest, you don't have to worry about that. But from here, you can basically just choose your colors and whatnot from your default color selector, which is this row here. And there should be Halloween colors, I think, coming soon. So we'll talk about that afterwards. And everything else good. Let's just copy these over so they blend in. Or whichever you want to do. Again, choose your own adventure here. And you can also customize the appearance of your weapons as well. 9 times out of 10, that is everything you can do at the moment inside your arsenal. And what you can also do right now, if you're a fan of it, is you can go to Equipment Orbiter, and you can decorate and change the appearance of your ship as well. Most of this costs money, obviously. There might be a cancer one. We might not have access to that right now, though. But yeah, you can customize your ship as well. You can change the scenes that you have. Usually it's just the 2, to be honest, but, you know, if it's like close to Christmas, you can some like snow and whatnot. Celebrate and all that fun stuff. You can choose your wear and tear, which is like these little scratch marks here. You can have that on or off. Really up to you. I have this weird thing that I do where I like to turn this up the longer I'm playing. For some reason, I don't know. If it's been like a while, it would look all rusty and whatnot, you know. And then I sort of like to choose the color of like rust, just because I'm weird like that. You can do what you want. Some people like to have it look like blood on the walls or something, or just like little accent pieces, I guess. But do as you wish. And then you can also choose your actual ship colors here. Again, you're very limited on the colors you can choose at first. Usually you want your like main area to just be kind of just bright, you know? So just kind of keep that as default, just so you can actually see things. Your secondary color will change this sort of like line here. Set that to whatever color fits your fancy. I don't know what I'd go with right now. Usually I'd go with blue, honestly. Nice little blue trim. That also changed the marks on the floors as well. I'm gonna make it green this time, though, because we're gonna switch things up this time. You also have these little, like, metal pieces. You can change the color of that as well. Personal preference, really. All of this is personal preference. Do whatever you want to do. I'm just gonna make it. So, yeah. That is how you customize your ship to make it look the way you want to. Your colors are very limited at the moment. You can customize your Tenno and your weapons. Your Warframe, rather, my bad. And, yeah. That's really about it for basic ship stuff at the moment. As far as chat goes, I don't know That'll lower that. It won't be there in missions, but it is just kind of large and just in the way. It's crazy. Developers, can you add like a smaller option than small, please? Because, I don't know, as a content creator, this is really in the face of people. Like, that is a big chunk of the screen right there, just kind of blocking everything. It's not an issue once you have a clan, I suppose, if your clan's not active. We don't know what that is yet, so... Anyway, if you have different weapons and stuff, you can also change them from here before going into a mission. So if you don't want to go all the way to the back of your ship to do it, you can do it from here as well. And then you can also save loadouts and stuff. We'll get into that later on. And then up here, you can choose if you want to play with public people, friends only, invite only, or solo. As a beginner, or just as someone that really isn't, you know, like you're just kind of playing on your own, you know, you're just enjoying your time, I recommend choosing solo because 1, it runs better, and 2, you can actually pause the game when you're in solo. So if you have to like go to the washroom or something, you can do that. So I recommend choosing solo, but if you like playing with friends, being carried, you can turn it to public, or invite your friends if you have friends to add, essentially. And real quick, before we move on to the next segment, this is going to be your map here. You can zoom out, you can see the entire universe you're going to be exploring. This little icon is where the trader that shows up every 2 weeks is. He'll be in a different spot every time. Lots of planets, so much to do. It is unbelievable. It really is. It's unbelievable this is all free too. And then, as you can see, you have these little nodes that you can go to. These are going to be your missions that you're going to. They'll take you to a random spot within the planet, and they'll all have their different missions and stuff, but we'll talk about that, I believe, after this mission. During one of these first few missions. And then up here is going to be a list of things you have to do to unlock the next area. You can't see that right now, and I can't see that right now, so we're not going to talk about it any more than that. And in the right button here, your right thumbstick, or whatever it is on PC, just clicking on it, I guess, it'll show a list of resources on that map. Those little formations that show up. So these are the resources that will show up and drop from enemies. You can find them in crates, you can find them as formations, etc., etc. These are the resources you'll be getting from that planet. So keep an eye on them. Usually 2 to 3 of these are very common resources that you can find on multiple different planets, and then they'll have one planet-specific rare resource, which is neurodes in Earth's case. So just keep an eye on that. In the future, I won't talk more about it than that right now because you don't really have a reason to be paying attention to it, but just keep track of this little option existing. Whoops. And then you can also end as well, instead of doing it the long way. And then at the top here, it'll show you your active mission to follow. So like story missions, side quests, and then this is where everything else will pop up in the future. Don't worry about it right now, though. Yeah, that is all right. Now that you've customized everything you want to, and everything is looking good, it's time for your first mission, which is restoring the ship comms. Again, recommend going solo. So just make sure to click on that.
The segment you need is in a nearby data vault. Infiltrate the vault and retrieve the segment.
And basically, you're just going to do everything you've learned so far.
The Asperus is working,
kill the enemies, loot around,
through.
use your
I
abilities,
see the shadows of your
and just
mind.
kind of look around, you know? Keep an eye out for crates like this, and resources. Because trust me, you may think you have a lot, you never will have a lot, okay? Until, like, endgame. It's not going to matter too much at the beginning, but you're definitely going to want to, like, stockpile some resources up.
This data vault is equipped with a variety of
So I
security
recommend just,
measures.
you know, taking
How
your time on
defeat those
missions,
measures is
looking
up
around.
to you.
Sometimes you can find secret crates as well that'll give you, like, boosters and stuff. Very rarely will you ever find those, but they do exist.
Mission complete. Excellent work, Tenno.
And basically, when you're done the mission, to show you, you know, how much XP you got, all the items you got, and whatnot. Doesn't need too much explaining, I don't think.
Orbiter Void Cloak engaging. Welcome back, Operator. The Operator has recovered a segment.
Install it now.
Ordis patiently awaits its installation.
Get communications online. I must analyze what Vors Ascaris is doing to your Warframe. This technology is beyond the Grineer. It must be Corpus in origin.
Systems engaging. I suppose this will do. Ordis is grateful. The Operator is now connected with other Tenno in the system.
All
The
right.
Operator may now contact all black market scumbags. Contact arms dealers.
So this is your
Excellent idea,
Codex.
Ordis.
Hold
Tenno,
on.
we need to make contact with a Corpus defector sympathetic to the Tenno cause. They will, of course, require compensation.
You see what Ordis is referring to, Operator?
In this case, compensation will not be credits. It will be freedom. I've updated navigation. You will need to break him out of a Grineer gulag.
As I was trying to say, this is your Codex. This is where all your quests will be. This is where everything you will ever need to know will be. Literally everything. If you have a question, come into here. This is where you can check out different Warframes and their backstory and whatnot, if you're curious. And this is going to be your training section on everything you need to know. So if you have a question, come here. I'm going to be going through all of these as we need to use them. So right now it would just be the basic advanced movement and advanced melee is all you really need to know at first. Okay, these are the only... You'll do like a heavy attack, basically. Which takes up your combo multiplier. So if you have a combo going on, it'll take that and use that as like more damage, basically. If you have like a high combo. Not much to say about that. But yeah, those are the three you want to touch up on. If you're not aware, just check on those three first. The rest of these you don't need to know about. And then we have missions over here. This will have a dedicated video as well. You don't really need to worry about this right now, because you're still in the tutorial. So don't worry about this at the moment. And then again, you're just going to want to continue the story. Actually, before we do that, I totally forgot to tell you that you can, back at the orbiter section here, you can actually customize the outside of your ship as well. I totally forgot to mention that. You can get blueprints for other ships as well as like designs for your ship. And whatever that is. They also come with different abilities too. Don't worry about that right now though. Yeah, you can just wanted to mention that because I forgot to do that. But yeah, again, you're just gonna continue the story. And just another mission. Not much to really say about it. Just go around, loot stuff, kill the enemies. You know, get into the rhythm, essentially. Not much I can really teach you about that, to be honest. Other than get headshots, I guess. That's really all I can tell you. But yeah, just kind of, you know.
Escort mission complete. The hostage is safe now. Let's get out of here.
Thanks for helping me out back there. I'm in your debt, and I often pay my debts. I recognize that device. It's a parasitic restraint. We Corpus use something similar to keep our robotics in line. So, to settle my debt, I give you a very expensive blueprint. For free! Because I like you. And well, a lot of my customers don't live long with these grenade dogs chewing up the system. Here, use your foundry to build a countermeasure device from this blueprint. Good luck.
Vor's Ascaris is burrowing into your Warframe. I'm worried it will affect your mind. I can't lose you, Tenno. We must restore the ship's foundry immediately. A nearby ore extraction colony will have the foundry technology you need. I am certain they will share it with you. Its location has been added to your navigation console.
If you press this thing enough times, it'll break the ground. Kinda random, I know, but sometimes maps have a little secret like that. Then you can just go down here.
Another job well executed.
Your foundry segment is ready for installation, operator. Will the operator build a cephalon to replace me? Foundry restored. Here, the operator will craft many powerful weapons and tools to exact revenge for dismantling me. To expand your arsenal. Oh no. Operator, our component storage has been looted as well. Typical Corpus. Sure, the blueprint is free, but jack up the components. Operator, we will need resources in order to build the countermeasure blueprint.
Alright, I don't know if I need to say much for this, but that's where you...
I just received a very explicit message from your ship, Sevlon. If you're looking for resources, why didn't you just say so? I know just the place, but I demand an apology. My mother is no gymnast, and she would never eat those things.
You can go straight to... Operator, I am sorry.
Wow. You may want to get a new ship, Sevlon, when you can afford it. That one seems glitched. I've marked your navigation with a place I know. It's good for resources, if you can stand the cold.
Anyway, as I was trying to say before we end this off here, this is where you're going to be crafting stuff, that's why you need those resources. I can't really show you it right now, but there's a little tutorial section here that teaches you how the basics work. But we'll go over it again once we have full accessibility. But yeah. Anyway, that's gonna do it for now, I think. Maybe, probably. And then yeah, we'll finish up all the beginner stuff next time.